Hi, this is Chris Howard, host of Plugged In with Chris Howard. BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for all your sports betting action. BetOnline has more ways to stay in on the action with the latest odds, news, scores, even live in-game betting while the games are being played. With the largest selection of odds on everything from Major League Baseball, NHL, and UFC, and professional golf, BetOnline remains the number one source for all your sports wagering info. In between games, head over to the BetOnline's casino with all the top Vegas-style games, including poker and live casino. BetOnline, the game starts here.
If you're looking to streamline your audio advertising buys and maximize your revenue, look no further than Triton Digital's programmatic audio advertising exchange, A2X. The private exchange consists of only licensed broadcasters and top-tier internet radio publishers, assuring the quality inventory and brand safety you can trust. Visit www.tritondigital.com to learn more.
Don't play ball in the house. This command echoed throughout homes across America for decades, usually shouted by exhausted parents to equally mischievous children. And for good reason. Balls could break lamps, bump furniture, and cause minor injuries. That is, until 1969, when a product hit the shelves that changed the rules forever. Some sources claim this brand is an acronym for Non-Expanding Recreational Foam, but according to its founder, the name is borrowed from 1950s hot rod slang for the act of nudging someone off course with your bumper. The same term is used to refer to the foam padding of off-road vehicles. Synonymous with avoiding damage, this brand has come to represent the good old days of childhood and the play that came with it. Because of them, you can play ball in the house, shoot blasters in the house, fire bow and arrows in the house, and more. And that's why this week's On Brand is on Nerf.
You're all jazzed up, really having a cow. You want your favorite show, and it's on right now. It's on Brand.
Welcome to On Brand with Jon and Marisa. I am Jon.
I'm Marisa.
Okay, Nerf. Fun. I feel like I guessed it halfway through, but I wasn't 100% sure because you kept talking about balls. And I was thinking, like, does Nerf make a ball? Like, I think of them more as a dart.
Same.
A disc.
Yes.
A way of life. Nerf, yeah. I don't have a bunch of association with it. I remember I took an improv class. Gosh, this is so dumb. I took an improv class and we had a rehearsal before our student show. And in the rehearsal, we did a scene about Nerf and it went really well. And then we did our show and the first thing I did was trying to redo the Nerf scene. I was so embarrassed. The audience had no idea, but I knew my teacher knew and I felt so shamed.
Oh, that's so funny. Trying to recapture the magic.
Yeah, which is what improv is totally not about. It's all supposed to be fresh and new. So what made you pick this? Let me think. It's summer. I was actually thinking of other summer brands we may do. I was thinking my dad had suggested, I think it's Little Slugger, like the baseball bats.
Oh yeah, that's very summery.
Playing around with some different summer ideas too. How did we land on Nerf?
Well, Nerf to me, it feels like it evokes a lot of memories of childhood in the summertime. Those kind of long dog days, being out playing until the streetlights come on. Those memories we all have of fun. I'll say 80s summers. 80s, is that right?
80s summers, yes. Yes, I was a child in the 80s, too. The 1880s.
Friend of the pod, Shepard Boucher, gave my son a Nerf football for his birthday, and I had kind of forgotten about Nerf. And once you hold it, something about squeezing that foam. This is another foam brand, which we love foam.
When you started to say that, I was like, good Lord, this woman is obsessed with a foam turned into a franchise.
I mean, there's so much that can be done with foam, and I look forward to seeing what is done with foam in my lifetime. That's how excited I am about foam. And Nerf is its own kind of foam, and the feel of it is so unique. It feels so special. And I tell you, they're a heck of a lot of fun to throw around. Al and I were tossing the old Nerf football today, having a dang blast.
I guess you can't say tossing the old pigskin. You have to say tossing the old reimagined foam.
Sure,
ball.
Yeah. Injected foam. Yes.
Well, fun. I'm excited to learn about it. I hope that there was some trials and tribulations. I hope the foam takes us on a wild journey, as it usually does.
Foam always does. If you have a story that begins with a rare foam, you're in for a good time.
I picture someone like an heir, like someone created a foam right before they died and their family knew nothing about it, but he leaves them the foam in the will and they just get an envelope of foam and they're like, what is this junk? And they throw it away not knowing that it could have been turned into a scrub daddy.
Oh my God.
A
Croc.
A Nerf ball.
Foam in our hands, the sky is the limit.
Sky is the limit.
Wow. So John, how you doing? You came in a little...
Happy?
Happy, yeah?
I just gotta say, man, like, what a week.
You were wearing a pair of Birkenstocks you recently acquired in a Buy Nothing group. And this is a very off-brand shoe for you, a Birkenstock slide.
So off-brand for me. I was like, this is only my first time wearing it out of the house.
Wow. This is basically a secondary home for you. So I don't know if this is totally a test run in the wild, but
True.
I appreciate it.
And the funny thing is my neighbor had people over and they were all sitting in the yard and they were sunbathing and laughing. And this is how much I think people are thinking about me. I'm like, God, what are they going to think of my Birkenstocks?
Oh my God.
9 people I've never met before.
Whoa, nice Birks, dude.
And Birks are like Birks. I mean, we'll probably do an episode on Birks at some point.
Sure.
But
They, like in like the ugly shoe, like Hall of Fame. Yeah.
Whoa.
I love Birks, but some people think that they're like an ugly shoe.
There's so many. You got your Kanye, your Yeezys.
Yes, there's a lot of ugly shoes, but I think Birks sometimes they have this like hippie reputation of long, like a hairy guy's long hippie toes hanging over the edge of a Birk.
Yeah, that's true. I think they were the original ugly shoe, but I think so many ugly shoes have come. I sort of think this is like when we did Swanson. I'm like, okay, let's get into the Burke episode. So in 1974, Jeremy Burke. But yes, it's very off-brand. I'm wearing Birkenstocks. I don't have the hang of it yet. But anyway, this week, let's talk about
Birks with socks, too, which is
am.
its own vibe.
But they're like gray suede. Like there's something like, it's like I'm a professor. I'm like one of those cool professors where I'm like, hey, class, why don't we take the lesson outside today? Yes. And we sit like on a small slope outside of the main building.
Yeah, you're definitely, Jeremy, why don't you meet me after class so we can go over your paper?
Yeah, because I'm a slutty teacher.
It's the end of summer. We're feeling good.
Yeah, I mean, I feel great. Listen, there's a couple things you would never know this, so I have to get them out there. I always wear headphones during the show. Alistair's removed them from my head today just to do a little sound experiment. I feel very naked without them, but that being said, we're also having trouble with our lighting, so we're not recording this on video. So I've everything's disheveled. I don't care what I look like anymore. I don't know what I sound like anymore.
You're wearing Birkenstocks, you let yourself go.
Yeah, it's like a completely different John. So
yeah, if this sounds a little bit more casual, like it feels like we're laying in bed. That's kind of what it is. We're not on camera. We have no lights. John's wearing Birkenstocks and he has no headphones.
Yeah. So my week, it's been a week of positivity in my personal life. Let's bullet point a few things.
Great.
The human spirit of Celine Dion returning to the stage,
Huge.
to the worldwide stage.
Oh my God.
Singing on the Eiffel Tower to close the Olympics opening ceremony. I mean, none of us saw this coming. None of us were ready for it. Kelly Clarkson, me, Pink, everyone brought to tears. I actually don't know if Pink was. I'm assuming she was. If she wasn't, she's not human.
I love to imagine you at the Olympics opening ceremony and you have little mittens and a hat on and you're clutching hands with Gail King and and Hoda.
Hoda for sure.
And you're just you're weeping at Celine. That would be awesome.
Yeah, that is the dream, 2028. So we have the human spirit moment with Celine. We had a couple of great collector's moments. Morrissey, the singer of the Smiths, someone who I have complicated feelings for, but I have loved his music forever. He had a new album come out this week and dropped off a bunch of autographed copies of it to Amoeba. So I now have a signed Morrissey record, which is super exciting.
That's great.
And then, of course, I hired a PB for the SDCC, and that worked out really well.
A what?
I hired a PB for the SDCC.
Peanut butter for you just tell me.
Poster buddy for the San Diego Comic-Con.
What is a poster buddy, John? I feel like I can guess, but please tell me.
So a poster buddy, listen, there's collectors of all kinds. I am a collector of certain things that are at Comic-Con, but I don't have the energy or desire to go to Comic-Con.
Yeah.
So you can hire a PB or a VB, a vinyl buddy, someone who is going to Comic-Con, who's willing to stand in line for you, get your item, ship it to you, and it's...
Wow.
Yeah.
What does a gig like that cost?
So for me, for the last 3 years, there's been one poster I've wanted every year. I collect these Charlie Brown Peanuts posters.
Okay. So it is a peanut buddy.
Yeah, I guess it is. It is a peanut. I wonder if that's what it stands for. No, so yeah.
LA man seeks peanut buddy for San Diego Comic-Con. Peanut buddy.
So like, I mean, me being me, I hired 2 PBs because I was worried one of them might not get it.
Okay.
So my poster was like $60. You tip them. You give them a tip. That's what it's called because I don't think you're on like the social media allowed to be like, I'm hiring. I don't know why.
Yeah.
But I tipped him 20. So it's like, it's only like $20. So for I get my thing. He has to go to the booth early in the morning to get a ticket and then go back and buy it. Like he does all.
I don't think that's enough money for this job.
I know. It might be on the low end. Some people
very low.
Some PBs charge the price of the item. Like they'll charge like mine was 60, another 60. So they can buy it for themselves. But I asked, I was like, is 20 good? He's like, yeah, it's great. So
he's like, honestly, I'd do it for free.
For another Snoopy fan, I would do this for free. Yeah, so it's just been a glory. I'm loving life today.
That's great. Well, I have a grin of the week.
Okay.
I told you I ran into someone's car.
No, on your jog?
No. With my car.
No, you didn't tell.
I knocked off somebody's side mirror.
How?
In narrow streets in my neighborhood, a car is approaching. All the cars are parked kind of far away from the curb, avoiding the oncoming car. Knocked off someone's side mirror. A very nice car, especially in comparison to my peely ass 2014 Prius.
Oh my! No, did you consciously decide to save this for the pod?
No, I can't remember. This was probably 10 days ago. But I was so nervous because of course I left
10 days ago.
Of course I left a note, John. Of course I left a note.
Okay, so you smack. I feel like a mirror could be very expensive because it's got wiring in it, especially if it's like it moves like with a button.
Well, this is what I didn't really investigate. The mirror didn't come off entirely, but like a piece of plastic went flying 8 feet, and I put that plastic on the hood of the car, and I wrote a little note. Not intentionally looking like my life was in chaos, but I think it kind of read that way. Like I had a scrap of paper I found in my car and a crayon, and it was sorry, I broke your mirror. And I wrote my phone number and email address and tucked it under the wiper blade of this really fancy new car. And I think they got some clues from my note. It wasn't on card stock. With
card stock.
With a quill.
It's on a really expensive bill, and you've written question marks around the total. How are we going to pay this?
Yeah. They accurately inferred something from my note, and I have not heard anything from them. So I feel really grateful for that.
You find out they were in the car, and you actually you killed them, so they just haven't been able to reply at all.
I did drive by and I saw a couple skeletons in the car, but I think that was just early Halloween stuff because I was at Michael's last week, and there is full Halloween happening at Michael's.
I'm
full Halloween.
So ready for it. I am so ready for it. I can't wait. It's August, so Halloween is here, basically.
If you find yourself in a Michael's, the Halloween decor is beyond unhinged.
Yeah. Insanity.
It already feels a little dystopian that you're supposed to completely redecorate your home for every holiday, and not just you put out a few decorations, swapping out your artwork, your pillows, your rugs, your bedspread. It feels what is happening? We are a city with no garages. Where are people supposed to put these things? The objects that you put around your house, there was a series of Frankenstein, Dracula, a mummy, all like 4 inches tall, sitting on the toilet, reading magazine. It was Frankenstein sitting on the toilet, reading a newspaper that was the Frankenstein Times, and it was articles inside about Frankenstein. I was what is happening? It just feels like we've lost the thread.
Well, I would like to throw this out to the freaks. I would love for anyone, one of my favorite things now is being able to connect the dots. So I feel like a lot of companies just make holiday stuff all year long and try to figure out ways to use the things from every holiday in every other holiday. Like there's like Christmas eggs now, and there's like a little chick dressed up like a vampire. So if you see anything that is clearly meant for another holiday, I would love to see the pictures, because
we love that.
It just cracks me up. Everybody does it now, especially a place like Michael's.
It's absolutely deranged. I encourage anybody to go.
Yeah. I mean, those were probably like statues that they sold in the 70s that have been in a warehouse. Like, oh my God, I think I know what we can do with those.
I just can't imagine. As always, I'd love to see the emails. I would love to be on those meetings.
Oh my God, me too. I always want to be on a secret corporate email about how something got figured out.
And they were talking about it in like Q1 of like 2023, what the 2024 Halloween push was going to be.
Yeah.
I love it.
The new NBA and MLB season is in full swing, and BetOnline has you covered with the best odds and biggest promotions and live in-game betting on all your favorite teams. Head to BetOnline today to stay updated on all the action. BetOnline, the game starts here.
Ready to get into Nerf?
Yeah. Yeah, I am ready to get into Nerf.
So you said you don't really have like too many strong. You know what Nerf is. You're familiar with it.
I have 2 Nerf guns in my trunk.
Okay.
And a lot of extra Nerf darts.
Why?
Okay, so when I worked at Avatar, there was like a moment where I feel like a few people bought Nerf guns because we worked on a lot, and you can run around and shoot the gun and whatever. And I I went out and bought a couple of Nerf guns at Target with bullets. But then either I was too embarrassed to ever present that I had these guns, or the moment passed. So I've just had Nerf guns in my car for like 5 years.
Never used.
Never used.
Oh, dear.
I know. I'll bring them out soon.
Well, it's interesting you said that you don't remember a Nerf ball, because I didn't either. My memory when I think of Nerf, for the record, we don't call them guns, we call them blasters.
Oh, of course.
So they're blasters.
If
anybody's sensitive, they look a lot like guns.
They look like a rifle. They look like and you can even get the ones that you load a bunch of bullets in. We probably don't call them bullets.
No, they're not bullets, they're darts.
So with the Nerf gun I have, like you get a bunch of bullets and you can shoot them all really fast.
Yeah, you get a lot of bullets.
Yeah.
A lot of bullets in your trunk, baking in the California sun for 5 years unplayed with. So I was surprised to learn that the blasters didn't come out for 20 years. So first it came as a ball. So let me sit back, pull up a chair. Let's go back to we'll say the swinging 60s.
Oh my God, I love it.
Our story begins with a man named Ren Geyer. So he's fresh out of college. His dad convinces him to put aside his plans of becoming a writer and join him in his newly started business that designed and produced point-of-purchase displays. Are you familiar with the term point-of-purchase display?
Am I familiar with the point-of-purchase display?
Are you asking the manager for them when the seasonal
I learned that from my mom. In my mom's basement to now,
Yes.
I have a very nice plastic Coca-Cola shelving system that was a point-of-purchase display.
Yeah, absolutely. They used to be plastic. Now they're most commonly like cardboard. It would be like a big cardboard peep that houses, if you're not familiar with this term, houses like shelving that would have peeps on display, and it would be to put in a store. So I thought that was a fun job designing those.
Yeah, and there's even now, like you'll see, there's like TikToks of Swifties, like when the Target's done with like the Taylor Swift display, and they're like rolling it out to their car.
Oh, geez Louise. Not you.
Well, don't go in my storage unit.
So he's working for his dad at this company, designing these displays. And then one day he was working on an idea for a shoe polish client and was thinking about a paper mat that kids could sit on and also play a game with. And he realized that there was opportunity here because he had never heard of a game where the kids themselves were playing pieces. Can you think of what game this turned into being?
The kids
themselves. A paper mat.
Twister?
Of
course.
So this man, Ren Geyer, he comes up with the idea for the game Twister. So Twister is its own thing. That's like Milton Bradley, and I'm sure we'll do Milton Bradley at some time. But that is the origin of Twister.
I love the idea of this guy just sitting at home as kids are annoying them and there's game pieces everywhere. He has to put them away. And then he looks at his kid and he's like, You're the toy. You are my toy.
I love that.
Yeah.
So now that Twister's up and running, Geyer's making a name for himself as kind of like a toy man. He has these really creative ideas.
Wait, can we I got to go off topic on a couple of things before they pass. Sure. Okay, one, I feel like this is something Alistair may relate to. I used to polish my dad's shoes. Like, did you ever polish your dad's shoes? You didn't? Daddy. No, that was like one of the chores we could do, I think, to make money. Like,
oh, really?
My dad had like a shoe polishing kit. It had like a nice brush and different polishes for the different colored shoes. And like, you get like, it was one of those jobs that's not hard, but incredibly satisfying when got like a mirrored finish on your daddy's shoe.
Jon, I want that shoe to shine till you can see your reflection in it. You were a PB. You were a polish buddy.
I was a PB. PB's been following me around my whole life.
Wow. I don't even, honestly, do people still polish shoes?
I don't know. I feel like the only time I ever see it's like at the airport. There's like those chairs you can sit in, which I always would just feel too weird.
Always empty.
Well, now I'm a Burke boy, so it's like, what are they going to polish?
Will you shine up the straps on my Birks? They're getting a little bit dusty.
Just get a little brush, please, and fluff them up. Okay,
fluff
so there was
way.
that side note. Oh, and two, I just could never play Twister.
Why not?
I'm so bad at it. I'm not bendy at all. Like I just can't do the game.
I mean, it's really fun. At the time, it was kind of controversial because it was seen as like a risque kind of game because it would get people,
a bunch of children all sweaty and in a knot. A knot full of game pieces.
So the game was being branded as too risque, and then the PR company that had Twister worked for, Milton Bradley, got it on Johnny Carson's show, and Johnny Carson was playing Twister with Zsa Zsa Gabor.
Oh my God.
And you can just imagine like the innuendo, the blushing, it was just like became a sensation after that. It was like so charming and seen as like, it wasn't risque, it was innocent, it was like lightly flirtatious, but anyway, that was Twister. So Twister was off and running. This guy like made this guy's career.
I'm obsessed with going through the decades and what was considered risque and what wasn't. Like it takes me back to like the movie The Piano. Did you ever see that?
I don't think I have.
Okay, so there's this scene in The Piano where she literally has a tiny hole in her stocking, and he's like obsessed that he can see like a lentil-sized piece of her skin. And then like in the bathing suits, like in the 20s, had to like be below the knee. And then you've got Twister's too risque, and then Madonna's too risque. But it's like it just
how much further can it go? It's like now like we're peering into Doja Cat's.
I was literally gonna say wet ass. Like we're at wet ass. I think we've moved past that. I don't know.
Yeah, it is funny. It is the changing times. So now Twister's up and running, as I said. He's making a name for himself, put him on the map. He leaves his dad's business and starts his own company called Windsor Concepts. Not a great name, but you know what? We'll forgive him for that.
Yeah.
They began developing ideas, and a year into their business, one of the guys he works with has an idea for a game where the pieces on the floor look like rocks, and you hide your money under the rocks. See, I find the stories like this really encouraging because I have a tendency to kind of like bail on a bad idea. Do you know what I mean? Like as soon as someone suggested that, I'd be like, you're fired. You're an idiot. I never want to see you again.
Yeah.
And it's just funny to see how like, if you stick with a bad idea, sometimes it turns into something kind of like the show, maybe.
Yeah. Wait, what?
So the theme is it was like a caveman game where you hide your money under these rocks, and then other players would walk around and try to steal your money, but you try to stop them by throwing things at them.
Did you ever have? I did have a yard rock where like we would hide our like house key.
Oh, hide a little key. We did have that. Yeah.
That's probably what ended up happening with all of those rocks from this from this idea.
It was always like a little conspicuous though, because it was like, why is this like shiny painted gray rock sitting right underneath your doorbell?
Totally. And you know what else I had, or I don't think I ever used, but I definitely had, was the magnetic key that you put on the car.
Yes.
Like, so if anyone was like, when those became popular, someone just had to be like, well, maybe if I look under here, they've supplied the key for me, which they did.
There's currently one of those like in my mom's kitchen. I could find it in like 30 seconds. We still have one of those.
Yeah.
So they had this black foam that they used as like padding for wrapping up things, like just shipping foam. And they cut out some pieces and they took 3 pieces each and they threw them at each other to like stop the other players from stealing the money. That was like the origin of this. So this guy, Geyer, he says it was a lousy game that didn't make any sense at all. And he said, I really believe you shouldn't diss something before you've tried it. You really have to make the game. It doesn't matter if it doesn't work, something else might come from it. So that's good advice, right? Just like see it through, execute the idea, and you'll learn something from it.
Yeah, don't give up right away. I mean, I'm assuming that the next step is he started shoving this black foam into a pistol and then just started shooting everybody in the factory. And he's like, see, guys, this is fun.
I mean, we're on our way there. So they made a test version of the game that they were calling Caveman, and the game still sucked. And one of the guys, his name was Will Cruz, he started bouncing one of the foam rocks over a net. And then they're like, oh, this is kind of fun. So they go to their desk, they start cutting out bits of this foam to make them into balls. They make a bunch of different sizes. It's just so funny that nobody had thought of this yet. They bring a bunch of these like cut up foam balls to Milton Bradley.
himself?
I actually don't know because that's
Okay.
not what this is about. That's
Got it.
that's a Milton Bradley episode.
Okay,
But
fine.
for the purpose of the story, to Mr. Milton Bradley, and because he had brought Twister, but Milton Bradley told them they aren't a toy company; they are a game and puzzles company. And this reminds me of a game of Scattergories we played.
Oh, don't.
Do you remember this? This was a highly contentious game of Scattergories.
So just to give the freaks a little backstory, the five of us used to always play games all the time. Scattergories was a game that we all loved, but always had issues with and fights in because we would push the definition of a category to such extreme. So I'm assuming that that's where this is going.
Yeah, there was a time where we were playing Scattergories. And it was funny because we would take like 6 months off from playing it and we would think like, well, we've matured. We're not going to fight anymore. And
Yeah.
then like 5 minutes in, we're like ripping each other apart.
Okay, so just to give you a quick example of like the kind of fights we would get into. So we're playing categories, and the category is things you find in a park. The letter is C.
And if you get a double letter, you get an extra point. So
Right.
people are kind of trying to have some fun with that.
Right. So everyone goes around, does normal answers. Yes, that's something you find in a park, whatever. We get to Alistair, and he's like, crying children, which it's like, sure. Like at times there's a crying child, but it was just always
It was
like
always something.
the way I describe it, it's like every answer like that, like it just gets a collective sigh because it's like, yeah, it's right, but you know it's wrong, and sure, take 2 points, but this isn't fun. Let's watch TV.
You know, I hadn't had children at that point. And now with 2 children, I think I would approve crying children being at a park.
Thank you.
That was the first time Alistair's ever gotten up to actually talk in the microphone because he's so proud of that answer.
Oh, yeah. So one of these big categories arguments, the category was, if you don't know categories, it's a list of categories. You roll a dice with every letter on it, and you try to come up with an answer for the category. So this category was related to this story. The category was toys, and the letter was G. My husband David wrote games, which of course caused absolute pandemonium and chaos in the living room.
And you think we're joking when we say that? We have, I don't even remember why, we have audio recording of this. And it's like the fight and like the debate that went on about this was probably 30 minutes. It got to the point where Alistair left the room because he can't handle confrontation sometimes.
He came back in, he stared off into space for 15 minutes.
It was insanity. And though anytime I think about this, I am like, yeah, a game is not a toy.
As John said, we do have a little clip of this categories argument. Al, feel free to play that clip.
But games are not types of toys to me.
Okay.
They're not.
Once you have that definition, you can make that subcategory, but I don't see that as a subcategory.
So games and toys are
are
their
two
own
different things.
categories.
They're both playthings. They're both fun, but they're
Right.
two different things.
So playthings are not toys. They're both
Toys are playthings and games are playthings.
So playthings and then toys and games.
yeah, I see that. They're
Not
both.
toys.
They're
being
not.
the
One
top.
is not sub of the other.
Okay, you're nitpicking.
I'm not nitpicking.
That
That's
is
my
the definition of nitpicking.
That's not the definition of nitpicking.
Yes, it is.
I'm defining it differently.
Oh
That's
my
not different.
god!
There has to
A
be.
game is a toy.
There has to
Game
be
is not a toy.
It is
a
too.
dictionary. They're two different words. They
Alexa,
have to-
what's the definition of toy?
A toy is an item that is used in play, especially one designed for such use.
The way I look at it, you play with a toy, you play a game.
There
They're
you
two
go.
different things.
Milton Bradley would agree with you. So then he took it to Henry Simmons. He was the new head of product development at Parker Brothers. Heard of him. And they said, we like this idea, but we're just going to do the ball. Because they were kind of imagining like a net and kind of like it being a more structured game. They said, we're just going to do the ball. Didn't make any sense to them. They were like, the whole thing is like the rules and the players. And he said, no, we just want the ball. Put it in a box and see how it goes. So in 1969, Nerf made its debut in the form of a 4-inch polyurethane foam Nerf ball, which Parker Brothers dubbed as the world's first indoor ball.
Okay.
Their marketing slogan for the Nerf ball was, throw it indoors, you can't damage lamps or break windows, you can't hurt babies or old people.
I mean, why wouldn't they use the word floors? Like, throw it indoors, don't worry about the floors. Like, there's a way to make this more fun.
I mean, were old people just getting like bludgeoned and like
Pummeled.
bloodied and battered by balls inside? It's so specific. Baby's head getting popped right off by a basketball in the house.
We need to read a bunch of obituaries from the 60s.
Really? Every other one. I guarantee.
Lost her life to yet another ball.
So the ball became quite popular because it fulfilled this need for children to be able to play indoors. Moms rejoice. They don't have to be hollering at their kids as much. By the end of the first year, over 4 million Nerf balls had been sold. That is in 1 year.
I mean, I love that moms are rejoicing over this. I don't know about your parents. My parents were always trying to get us out of the house.
Get the hell out of the house.
They weren't like, God, is there a way for you to do what you're doing outside in here with me? Just throw that ball around anywhere.
That's a really good point. It was probably like the transition times, like while you're like trying to shove on a kid's like snow boots or something. You know what I mean? Like, and there's like balls boinging around. It's just absolute chaos. And then you get out of the house.
Yeah. I mean,
and then you play with your like lawn darts and your other like dangerous toys.
Right. When I was playing in the 80s, like I feel like we've talked about this maybe in the last episode, like leave the house like as soon as you wake up, come back at dusk, and my parents most of the time never knew where we were.
Oh yeah, you holler at the door, dinner's ready, and you come back in, you've been playing with the neighborhood kids. You know, it always seems like a little bit, you always think the past was better, you're nostalgic about the past, but it really was better in nearly every way.
It really, really was. We'd walk to the arcade. Did you go to arcades?
Oh yeah. I mean, we spent like full days at the mall unsupervised, like as young as like 7th grade, I think.
You're going to say 7.
7? I mean, but honestly, you were allowed to go to the mall when you were 7 if you had like an older sibling.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was unsupervised. It was glorious. And Nerf was taking the nation by storm.
Yeah.
So after the success of the ball in 1972, the Super Nerf ball was released, as well as the Nerf Oop.
Wait, does the Super Nerf ball, what is that? Just bigger?
It's bigger.
Bounce more? Is it softer?
Bigger.
All of it?
Nerf Oop. What do you think the Nerf Oop is?
Nerf Oops. It's like Oops all...
Oops all Nerf.
Oops all Nerf. Like they made a mistake but found out that it could be used to their benefit. Noof Erp. Right? No, Nerf Oop. I don't know. Tell me.
Basketball game.
Oh.
Little net, Super Nerf ball. Basketball game. Nerf Oop. I don't know why. I don't know how we ended up there.
No, yeah, I don't get the name, but now that you say it, I do feel like I've seen that in like every 80s movie that had like a kid in their bedroom, like on the back of their door. They had a Nerf. I never knew it was the Nerf Oop.
For sure, that was the Nerf Oop.
Oh, like hoop.
Yes.
Oh, like hoop.
I thought you were a jock.
I mean, I'm a jock.
You're a light jock.
I thought it was like, oops.
Oops, I nerfed.
Oops, I nerfed again. I mean, who knows? Yeah, the Britney Spears reference definitely makes me a jock. And for the record, I'm not that kind of gay. I don't love Britney Spears. But I mean, I am worried about her.
You're a Birkenstock gay.
I'm a hippy dippy loving Erp gay.
Erp gay.
Erp gay. I don't know.
So they had the ball, and then now the addition of the Nerf football really changed everything. So it's funny because like I know the Nerf football and I know the Nerf blaster. I don't know the Nerf regular round ball at all. So the football is really the one that like stood the test of time. So Nerf owes its success to Fred Cox. Fred Cox was a Minnesota Vikings field goal kicker. Fred Cox, you know him.
Wait, what's his last name?
Cox.
Now, fun little side story on Cox. Not what you're thinking. So I lived on Ridgecrest Drive in Westchester, Ohio, and that road was off of, my school was like off of Cox Road, COX. But I always thought it was funny to say like I live off Cox. Like, oh yeah, no, I just live off Cox.
You thought that was funny when you were like 13 waiting for the bus?
Yeah, I live off Cox. Or, oh yeah, I'm just going to go down on Cox.
You're right. It is very funny.
Yeah. Another side story, and everyone in Ohio is like, oh my God, I know what he's talking about. If you go down not far from Cox, there was 2 streets that intersected, one called Grin Street, one called Barrett Road. So the sign literally said Grin and Barrett. I take a picture of it every time I see it because I feel like I can't have enough pictures of it.
That is so cute.
So cute.
Surely by accident.
Yeah, that's how the phrase came to be.
So Cox, he got the idea. He was talking to a fan. This story is so funny. I almost feel like this is like you if you got a celebrity who could help you get an invention off the ground. Cox got the idea. He was talking to a fan who wanted to create a toy with plastic field goal posts for kids to practice kicking footballs at home. So the man showed up at Fred Cox's house in Edina, Minnesota. So somehow he found this like Minnesota Viking field goal kicker and knocked on his door and was like, I have an idea for an invention.
I love it. Tenacity.
That's right. We love that. So the man showed up at his house. Cox almost didn't let him in the door because it sounded like a harebrained scheme, his words. Fortunately, he let him in. He heard him out. He listened to his pitch. So it was plastic goalposts with adjustable crossbars that kids could set up in their backyard to practice kicking footballs. So he said, after hearing about the goalpost, I asked, well, what kind of ball were you thinking of using? This is in a 1989 interview. He said something heavy so the kids couldn't kick it out of the yard. A really heavy ball. And then Cox's response was, it should be something light so the kids don't hurt themselves.
No. I'm going to draw the line there. It has to be a very heavy ball.
You know a bowling ball? Heavier. So he was saying, like, what is this guy's play? He like all these kids, like they have sore legs, they hurt their feet. He was like, how about we make a smaller football out of foam? So really, this guy's idea, John Maddox, his only idea was like a backyard football thing, and then every other part of his idea is trash. And the part that he had, which was the post, didn't even become part of the toy. I love that he's a part of the story, though. So he said, how about we make a smaller football out of foam? So it's light, it's soft, it's so light it can't like go over the neighbor's fence, but it's not going to hurt a kid's foot. A local injection molder made the prototype, which had a thick skin as a result of the heat-based process. The feature gave the ball durability and grip when holding it, which proved to be a stroke of genius. Cox claims it was dumb luck. Cox and the schemer, they took their idea to Parker Brothers, the toy and game manufacturer that had introduced the Nerf ball a few years earlier. The company, Parker Brothers, had tried to make a foam football by like cutting it out of foam, but it didn't have the grippable surface. So they were just like taking raw foam and kind of cutting a football, but it didn't have that kind of sheen and that thick skin that the Nerf ball has.
You got to inject that foam, man.
You have to inject it.
You can't like turkey that.
No
like,
way.
Carve a turkey.
You can't carve a turkey on a football.
Yeah.
So Parker Brothers, they were only interested in the ball, not the game or the goalposts. But I love that this guy Maddox is like in a meeting in Parker Brothers and he was like, I made this happen.
I did this. This is going to be a hard sell to Matt Damon. He's going to be like, I don't know that this guy had enough skin in the game.
Definitely.
It's like, I feel like I'm going to pass on this one, guys.
That's okay. Well, who's next on the list? Who's like the poor man's Matt Damon? You know who would be? Jesse Plemons.
Jesse Plemons.
He kind of looks like a poor man's Matt Damon.
Definitely.
That's the consensus on the web anyway. So Parker Brothers initially marketed the product as, this is really cute, the official football of the NFL with an asterisk. And at the bottom it said, that's the Nerf Football League, not the National Football League, of course.
Hey,
that is so
adorable.
Cute. So their ads featured John Elway of the Denver Broncos, who claimed to have a record throw of a Nerf football, as well as Peyton and Eli Manning with their father, all of whom played professional NFL. Annual sales peaked at $8 million in 1979, but the football continues to be a popular seller today. Fred Cox's royalties from the Nerf football allowed him to retire early.
Wow.
He was still earning as much as $200,000 annually until his death in 2020.
Wow.
So he was able to, this guy knocking on his door and holding him captive with this stupid idea made him very wealthy.
God, that is all I want. I just want to be wealthy. Like, how hard is it to get free $200,000 every year?
In the royalty model, where it's like you did a little bit of work once in 1979.
Yeah, that's what the sharks are always saying. Get a royalty deal. You get 5%. Something you said a minute ago made me think you were talking about not being able to kick the ball into a neighbor's yard. And that's another classic movie and television scenario. The ball goes in the yard or through the window or on the roof. Have you ever had that happen? Because I do have a story. But
share it.
So it wasn't a neighbor's yard, but my sisters and I think we were at the beach with my dad. It must have been like a spring break or something. So we probably would have either been on Hilton Head Island or Destin Beach, Florida. And we were playing Frisbee. And I threw the Frisbee and it went into the water. I wasn't expecting that. Yeah. I'm a much better Frisbee thrower now. I know. It was really bad. So it goes far into the water. And then like it was far enough that I wasn't comfortable to go get it. But there was like these guys on this like little boat going by and they're like right by it. So they go to where the Frisbee is and they pick it up and they like wave it like, is this your Frisbee? And I'm like, yeah, over here. I was so excited. Swear to God. They took that Frisbee, turned around, and threw it as far into the ocean as they could, and then sailed on their way. Sailed on the way. And people ask me, Jon, why are you so angry?
No way.
Moments like this. Moments like this.
The opposite of human spirit.
The opposite of I hope they were all eaten by sharks.
I'm sure they were. I'm sure they were. I love that. That's a formative memory that I think casts a shadow on your outlook of humanity for the rest of your life.
Definitely.
So at this point, Nerf footballs, they are the toy everybody wants to get their hands on. One of these footballs that debuted in 1989 is the Nerf Turbo Screamer. Do you remember the Turbo Screamer?
No, but I assume it makes a loud pitch
It makes a loud, like high-pitched kind of whistle sound. It has a really hard plastic whistle on the side. The original one was orange and silver. They are on eBay.
$199.
$134.99.
Wow.
For an extremely used one. In box, I mean, somebody claimed, because I was kind of doing a deep dive on the nostalgia of this particular product. Somebody said, I just tried to buy it on eBay. It was $7,000. I love that football and I played with mine until there was nothing left. LOL. So if you have one of these in your garage from the 80s, 90s, it could be worth a lot of money. This is some other comments about the Nerf Turbo Screamer. I feel like this might be some people listening to this. They might be like careening into traffic, like with a nostalgia bomb right now.
Yeah.
This is a childhood holy grail item for me. The 1989 Nerf Turbo Screamer by Parker Brothers brings back memories of hearing this bitch whizzing towards you in the dark, lightning in the distance, and a few scattered streetlights lighting up the yard just enough to keep playing.
I gotta say, this company, it's like, how can we annoy parents in how many ways? Let's make a ball they can throw around in the house and hit grandma and she won't die. Let's make another thing that is incredibly loud and annoying.
Yeah.
What are they doing?
They're a child-driven company. They're not thinking about mom and dad.
No.
But the product is not available anymore. I think it's because this is another comment that came up a lot with these. If you're listening and you had one of these, I would love to hear your thoughts. Nothing like racking your knuckles on the whistle when someone throws a screamer. So it had this hard whistle on the side. Nothing like catching one of these when it's cold out and the whistle hits your cold hands and hurts like hell. So this is like kind of a resounding, every conversation around the Nerf Turbo Screamer. If you catch the thing wrong, you're getting it on the knuckle, your fingers jamming in, cold day. Do you remember that feeling of catching like a dodgeball or a ball on a cold day? It's just like
remember the feeling of catching
so painful
a dodgeball on a cold day?
Yeah, a cold school morning and you're playing catch. Oh, God.
I do.
Why did that hurt so bad?
Wait, you're from California, though. So,
yeah, but still the mornings were cold. I lived further south than here.
Babe, the mornings were not cold. So in Ohio, one of my favorite things to do, going to the bus with wet hair, our hair would freeze. Like it would literally freeze. And it was like you had a whole head of icicles.
That
like
is
it was
cool.
so much fun.
That is really fun.
Yeah.
You're drooling at the thought of getting to eat your glue from the day before. Jon, I made Eggo waffles. You hungry? No, Mom, I have a lunch plan later. I'm good.
In my head, I'm like, did I make 6 dots or 7? I'm really hungry today.
Ooh, I left a really big one, so it's extra gummy in the middle.
Oh, boy.
Disgusting. So 1991, they have one called the Vortex. It's like the Screamer, but it has tail fins for greater distance. That's the one Al's nodding his head. He remembers the Vortex. And that's when, I mean, you see those, the tail fin made it go super far. It was just like, it's just so fun. You could throw a football like as far as like someone in the NFL, like with this little foam football. It's awesome.
That is cool.
So 4 million Nerf footballs sold every year. And then, as I said, this was surprising because when I think of Nerf, I think of the blasters. The first Nerf blaster was launched in 1989. So that's 20 years after the ball.
89, that's the same year as the Screamer.
That's the same year as the Screamer, exactly.
Wow, they're having a big year in 89.
It's a big year to work at Nerf Co.
Yeah.
They're having fun.
Let's just say everyone had a very nice Christmas bonus that year.
I should hope so. A Nerf insulated tumbler. Jeez Louise.
A business card made out of Nerf.
That would be cute.
I mean, I wouldn't mind that.
eBay. So the first Nerf blaster, it didn't have the darts. It had little foam balls. So it was called the Nerf Blast-a-Ball. Does that ring a bell? Do you remember seeing any of those laying around under your Christmas tree?
They make a dart version and a ball version.
Yeah, they have a ball version first. The dart version didn't come out until 1992, which I feel like that's so late. I feel like the darts are like iconic Nerf to me. Before that, they had the Blast-O-Matic, which like shot even more balls. They used pump action to shoot it, so it was coming out. Like this was kind of revolutionary technology at the time to have that pump action.
I feel like I would be good at that one with the pump action.
I think, didn't you do like market research or something for the pump action?
I definitely did. I did my thesis on pump action.
They had the bow and arrow, the first bow and arrows, shot arrows. I remember seeing those at friends' houses. I never had one of those. I did have the fencing set that came out in the 90s.
Did you really?
Yeah, so it was like a long foam, almost like a pool noodle, but skinnier. And then it had the round part near the handle. It had like little pieces of plastic that would flap down if they got poked. Al, do you remember this? You're nodding in memory. I feel like this was like my sister and I were trying to kill each other nearly 24 hours a day. And so my parents were like, if we give you Nerf fencing set, maybe you'll kill each other a little more safely.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, this is kind of weird because you and I talked about this before pod, and I wasn't going to bring this up, but it's coming up so naturally that I got a text right before we started recording that a friend had a family member just win a silver medal today in fencing.
So how does this person relate to you?
Okay, so I was trying to like understand the relationship to. So this is a very good friend of mine from, like, I've known her since kindergarten all the way through high school. And this is, I believe, her husband's son's stepdaughter, Lauren, went to the Olympics and won a silver medal.
That is amazing.
I mean, how cool is that? That means she's got that little piece of the Eiffel Tower.
Wow.
That's so cool.
So lucky.
Yeah, so congrats to her.
Congrats to Lauren.
Yeah.
You're making our country proud.
Yeah.
1992 was Nerf's biggest year. That's when they came out with the blaster, the Nerf sharpshooter, and the Nerf slingshot, which had a fun commercial with Seth Green in it. That might ring some bells if anybody remembers that.
What's better than hitting the mall? Hitting it with a Nerf slingshot. Allow us to demonstrate proper usage whilst you frolic. Locate target. Babe alert. Target located. Consequently, we can hit on them. Long distance! You gotta love it. Like we love mines? Definitely. Not! The Nerf slingshot. Because it's Nerf or nothing.
I love that they're all in like arms, like they are not guns. Now it's a sharpshooter.
People think of them as being like toys, but they've got some serious firepower. In fact, across the models, the relative constant is speed. So you'd be hard-pressed to find a Nerf blaster that clocks in at lower than 30 miles per hour. It's a pretty impressive baseline. And then there's some more powerful models, like some that are even for like teens plus. They can fire darts at a speed of over 50 miles per hour, 75 feet, 100 feet. There's a range called the Vortex discs and the Hailfire. They can shoot 144 darts in 30 seconds.
I mean, I got to say, it is one of those things. It's kind of like the Polaroid camera. It's one of those kind of genius inventions because it requires buying proprietary additions to it.
Sure.
So like everyone's losing those darts, everyone's losing those balls. You got to keep buying refill packs. It's brilliant.
They're
it's
on
like
the neighbor's roof. Yes.
Constant revenue stream.
Nowadays, there are so many Nerf toys for kids, teens, adults, even dogs. They have a line of dog toys. Nerf acquired the Super Soaker brand. And I just want to clarify this. If anybody is thinking Nerf and Super Soaker, I'm sure Super Soaker is its own story that we will undoubtedly cover on the pod. But Nerf acquired Super Soaker in 2010. So I want to put that to bed. This is not a Super Soaker show.
I didn't think they were related, but I literally almost brought up a minute ago, but I was like, John, you've been going off topic too much, even though that's what we do. I had a Super Soaker. I didn't have a Nerf gun, but I had a Super Soaker and I loved it and I broke it like day one. It had like the weakest, the one I had. Oh, wait, there's the ones that pumped, but mine had a trigger. Maybe it was like a generic Super Soaker.
No, you did pump it up and then you would shoot the trigger. Yeah.
Well, my trigger broke off like day one.
How hard were you pumping that?
I had so much energy after pumping.
You got a little too excited.
Squeezed that thing too hard. So anyway, very on brand for me. I didn't know how to resolve this. I didn't go.
How old are you?
That's a great question. I don't remember.
Are you like young teen, old teen?
I think I'm I must have been high school.
Okay. So you're 16, we'll say.
Yeah. And so, like, I didn't, like, now I would just go back and be like, I bought this broken, like, and I need a new one, whatever. I, like, took it back to the store in the bag. Or maybe
I love that I don't think I had the courage to do a return until I was like 27. And I love you at 16 rolling up to the returns counter at Kmart.
Oh, no, I didn't go to the returns counter. And the reason I had such courage is my whole life, my mom would send us into stores.
Oh, okay.
So she would send us into like a department store and say, go around all the counters and get all the perfume samples that they'll give you. And then she would send us into cigar stores and say, hey, go get all the empty wooden cigar boxes that they're willing to give you.
Oh,
so I was
God.
trained to be the way that I am.
You had no choice.
But when I had that gun, I didn't know how to deal with it. So this is taking too long. But I went in the store and shoplifted a new one and left my broken one on the shelf.
Oh, yeah. You did a swap.
I did a swap.
Yeah.
Which I felt like was fair.
Well, and you were very comfortable shoplifting at that point.
At that time.
So this was probably like a more moral shoplifting.
Yeah.
He's already paid for it.
It felt justified.
Yeah, who cares if somebody's going to buy a broken Super Soaker and open it on Christmas morning?
Well, I mean, that is a very good point. I'm just walking down the hall clinking with all my perfume samples in my pocket because they were glass at the time. They were nice.
I cannot believe that.
God, I know.
God,
what a life
so
I have
cute.
lived.
So it was until the late 1990s to the early 2000s, Hasbro fully acquired the Nerf brand. In 2013, this is as close as Nerf gets to a Huizenga. Nerf released its first line of products aimed at girls.
What's wrong with that? I'm sure there's some catty girls that want to shoot each other.
Well, I mean, it didn't work. There's nothing gender specific about a Nerf blaster, and so it feels condescending to be like, this is the girls' line. And you know what it's called? Rebel. Not rebel. Rebel.
Oh, got it.
It include products that are pink, purple.
That's what girls like.
teal.
Did they make like hair ties and like cute little things girls like?
Little aprons. The names of these Nerf blasters were Angel Aim, Cool Camo, and Femme Fire. I hate all of this.
Oh, God, that meeting. That was like 2 years of meetings.
I mean, and if you're like, I imagine bringing like my daughter into like a Target and the girls ones being there and being like, this is your section, honey.
Yeah.
You can choose from Angel Aim, Cool Camo, or Femme Fire. They only were out for 5 years, and then due to lack of sales, the line was discontinued. But nonetheless, Nerf is a successful brand. Annual sales revenue are approximately $400 million.
What? Today still?
Today still, yes.
I gotta say, I'm a little surprised. I have no one in my life that brings up Nerf. I didn't know that Nerf was still a thing.
Well, would it surprise you that the Nerf community of Nerfers is quite active?
Ugh.
So obviously children love Nerf guns, teenagers, Nerf blasters, but there's a robust community of adult Nerfers who have Nerf wars. They modify the blasters. They will pay like upwards of $500 for like discontinued models. They'll paint them. They'll do like 3D printing stuff. And they have a lot of fun setting up these kind of like just Nerf blast, Nerf war parties. Playing with a toy that, you know, it played such a big role in so many of our childhood. So I think it's sweet that it has a very active adult life, a lot of nostalgia there. But then, you know, kids are still enjoying Nerf, and yeah, it's still a great toy. Definitely makes you think of summertime fun.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised by that because I feel like you know all the subsets. Like I know that there's like Lego people that go all out and like modify and do other things. I just didn't know Nerf was one of them.
There are Nerf people, yeah. If you
Nerfers.
Go on YouTube, there's a lot of videos, some staged, which the Nerf community doesn't really like, but of Nerf battles, and you know they'll take over like schools or parks or office buildings, and they have their Nerf wars, and it looks like a lot of fun. You know, I just like to see people with hobbies and.
I like laser tag.
Oh,
I've only done that once, but I've really enjoyed it.
I've like never sweat more than playing laser tag.
Oh my God, it's so hard. And I think I'm so stealth and I'm like constantly shot. I'm like, I'm like a cat. Like, pew, 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 pew. I'm dead. Can I ask real quick, Al, maybe you know this. Didn't Princess Leia call Chewbacca a Nerf herder? Isn't that what she called him? It's like, I feel like, but she uses that term. I was just curious.
Really? A Nerf herder?
A Nerf
yeah,
herder.
I didn't come across that in any of my reference, but
Yeah.
that's interesting.
Maybe it was somehow related, but it would have been 77. So it would have been,
Nerf was around 1969.
yeah, it would have been maybe popular enough. Maybe it was a little nod.
Well, maybe they were having some on-set hijinks, like George Clooney is known to do. He's a fan of using Nerf products to terrorize his co-stars. Apparently, he plays with Nerf balls on set. You're trying to dodge Nerf balls while you're getting ready for a scene. Apparently, when he's a director, if he doesn't like a take, he shoots you with a Nerf gun. I mean, this is the kind of fun you expect if you're working with George Clooney.
I do love to find out when a celebrity is a jokester. Or
on
when like
set pranks.
Yeah, or when everyone calls them like by their other name. Like I have worked with James Cameron and everyone calls him Jim, and that's just a very normal. But when you're with other people and you're like, oh, and then Jim did this, everyone's always like, oh, Jim. I'm like, but no, that's how he introduces himself. But yeah, I always think that's fun.
I love that. I think we should have some more on-set pranks. Maybe next week I'll put a whoopee cushion under Al's chair.
We're going to find out that the light's not working was his prank, and we're like, that prank sucked, because now we just don't have a social media clip this week.
And the Nerf designers, the people who work at Nerf, how fun is this? They have a number of areas in their office where they test prototypes, including a large warehouse where they simulate inside environments like basements, bedrooms, cubicles, dorm rooms to engage in Nerf play. Sounds like a dream job.
Yeah, I mean, I love all the places Nerf can go. Hopefully we'll all be living in a Nerf home one day. We'll have Nerf organs. My Nerf heart is really working hard today.
I love you, Nerfy. That's your wife.
Yeah, hey, Nerfy. It's like a robot Nerf, but I can't afford a robot. Like, she has no electronics at all. She just screams.
It's just a bunch of darts glued together.
It's just that screamer.
I wanted to show you a picture. In 2022, Nerf unveiled Murph, their official first ever brand mascot. I'm going to show John a picture of this.
Oh.
It's a furry guy made out of Nerf darts. No. I don't see his presence very widely known, so I feel like he may have been fading into the shadows. And to close out, I have your favorite kind of fun fact.
I was going to say, please don't tell me how far it would go if you lined up all the Nerf balls that they sold in a year.
In the past 5 years, Nerf has sold enough darts to circle the globe 4 times.
Everything has. No big deal.
Honestly, you could just say that. Who is checking that? Like, there is like no point of reference for it. It's like, sounds totally made up. We could say we've recorded enough podcasts to go to the moon and back 11 times. And people will be like, wait, sound goes to the moon? And we're like, shh, 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 shh.
Listen, I want to be on board with you because the whole point of a show like this and improv is to support, but it is a pretty easy thing to figure out. If we know the distance of the Earth and we know how long.
But how many Nerf darts were sold? The average layperson is not like fact checking. It's so arbitrary. The number of Nerf darts sold sounds like a totally internal number.
I only want to know this fact if there's a documentary showing a couple, a married couple going around the globe placing these darts.
If I don't see that, I'm not believing it.
Well, you had me until the end, but I always appreciate a boring fact. So, I mean, now that's everything. Is it time for me to ask you, Marisa, now that you've gone through everything and learned all there is to know about Nerf, is it on brand or off brand for you?
You know, I think Nerf is lightly on brand for me. The branding itself is a little athletic, which I typically steer away from. I prefer like gentler branding. It's a lot of like swooshes.
Aren't you the one that just got mad when they tried to come out with a gentler, more feminine Nerf?
I am, but that still had a little bit. It was still a little too aggressive for me. Okay. I want like baby Nerf.
Yeah.
I want it to be like coated in fleece. But I do love tossing a Nerf football. So I will say the blasters are lightly on brand for me. The football is heavily on brand for me. The one I will say is on brand for me is the one you can get on eBay. That's $7,000 because I can't help it. I romanticize the past.
The screaming.
Yeah.
The screaming
the
Weezer.
Screamer. Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess for me, I mean, I feel like I'm kind of in the same place. I'm a little indifferent about it.
And you have 2 Nerf blasters in your trunk right now.
True. I do have 2 Nerf guns in my car, and I bought several extra packs of bullets.
Oh, my God.
So, yeah, I guess for...
Are you a Nerf boy?
I'm a Nerfer. I'm a Nerf herder. Yeah, I'll be on brand with Nerf. What am I going to say? Like, down with Nerf. No, it has its place. It's great. If I had children, I'm sure I would buy them Nerf products.
You know what I'm going to say? After this, get those blasters. I'll see you in the yard.
Oh, boy.
Game on.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff in the trunk.
I did see 3 things of Pringles in your car yesterday, and I was like, you don't even like Pringles. We talked about it on the episode.
I gotta say, I don't know why you were looking at my car. I went home, and I was a little jarred by that. Marisa goes outside, which, for the record, she never does when we're watching TV. All of a sudden, leaves the house.
to get a water bottle out of the car.
She comes back.
I didn't go in to peer in your passenger side.
She leaves the house. We're in the middle of watching the opening of the Olympics. She comes back in and she's like, wow, 3 cans of Pringles. I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, I looked in your car. I peered in your car and snooped visually through all of your stuff.
I think anything on the passenger side front seat is fair game.
I mean, I guess. And yes, I go back and forth with Pringles. I want them to be better than they are. That's not what this episode's about. But I do think that the sour cream and onion Pringles used to be a lot dustier and a lot better.
Okay, well, there you go. You're on the record.
But I do like the vinegar ones and the plain ones. Okay, so.
All right, wrap it up.
Wrap it up. Alistair gets upset. No, he's a lovely, lovely man. I don't think we got any new Apple reviews. We got 2 new Apple reviews, but they were just stars.
Yeah, why so shy? I mean, leave a few words. You could just say, like, love the pod, or you could say, like, so fun. It doesn't have to be verbose. Just anything. Any little words help us out, but we appreciate the 5 stars as well.
Sorry it took so long to write this. I've been laughing for the last 2 weeks thinking about what you said, anything like that.
Perfect.
And if you want, you know what, guys? You write this review and we're going to give you a shout out. You can turn that into a moment with a loved one or like a group of friends or coworkers.
Will you go to prom with me?
Well, I was just thinking their friends would hear their name, but sure, if you want us to be your, I think proms are over, your homecoming announcement, something.
Your homeschool prom that takes place in August.
Yeah, we can tailor that for you, sure. So I do have some shout outs for the Insta Egg this week. This was for the Olympics Insta Egg. I gotta say, when I made it, I thought it was one of the easiest Insta Eggs that I've done, but people were stumped.
Wow.
Because of the colors in it. Half of you thought it was Google. Some people thought it was Lifesavers. Some people thought it was Fruit Loops. But I would like to give a shout out, and in the spirit of the Olympics, I'm only going to give out a shout out to the bronze, silver, and gold winners of speed on guessing the
Love
Instagram. That. So coming in at 13 minutes from when it was posted, we have Sarah Morin. So she gets our bronze medal.
Great.
Coming in at 5 minutes, winning silver, we have Michelle E. And our gold prize winner is an on-brand favorite. Coming in at just 4 minutes, we have Eric Make a Mess.
Wow, that's dedication.
I couldn't be prouder of him. This is one of those freaks that really takes the Insta Egg seriously. Sometimes he just can't get it for the life of him, no matter how close he is. He's told me he can't sleep when he can't get it. He will lay in bed sweating trying to figure this thing out. So, Eric, we're very proud of you. And
congratulations. Well-earned victory. Gold medal goes to you. Fantastic. Yeah. So that's the show for this week. That was Nerf. If you like the show, as we mentioned, leave us a lovely 5-star review. Say a few words if you can on Apple Podcasts. You can check us out on Instagram at OnBrandThePod, on TikTok at OnBrandThePodcast. No video this week. The lights didn't work. Big deal. We'll be back next week with an all-new episode.
Yeah, and thanks for following us on Thursdays. And as we always love to say, we may go off topic, but we will always be on brand.
Bye.
Bye.